Well, thank you very much, Tom. I think we'll all just give our remarks from the table here in order to save time. First of all, I really want to thank everyone who's here in person and on the webcast. We are, all three of us, very excited to see the Environmental Health Initiative officially kick off. I want to add my thanks to this very esteemed steering committee for volunteering their time, their talent, their wisdom. It is a remarkable group when you look at their combined wisdom, their experience, their amazing connections they have out there in the world. They represent leaders in foundations, industry, academia, even a former governor here in the first row, Jim Geringer. It's truly a very amazing group that's going to be leading this initiative. The presidents of the National Academies thought that this was such an important initiative that we funded the launch using our precious internal funds from the National Academy of Sciences Cecil and Ida Green Fund and the George and Cynthia Mitchell Endowment for Sustainability Sciences. And we don't have a lot of discretionary funds that we can use to launch new initiatives. So this was a rare case where we felt something was so compelling that we wanted to use these precious discretionary funds to kick something off that we felt had such potential to truly change the face of an activity that was important to the nation, that it was worth investing. This is not only important to environmental sciences, but I think it's an important new model to how the Academy can help the nation look at new topics. Back when I was director of the USGS, when I arrived at the USGS, I noted that the agency was organized along largely disciplinary lines: biology, geography, geology, hydrology. And instead, it seemed like all the problems that the agency was dealing with were actually topical and worked across disciplines, where the talent that was needed to address those problems had to pull upon the life sciences, the information sciences, the earth sciences, hydrology, and geophysical sciences in order to tackle things like hazards and earth resources and sustainable ecosystems. And so I reorganized the USGS such that the scientists, rather than being siloed into disciplinary groups, instead could work seamlessly across these problems in order to tackle what were the main issues facing the country. And that's how I view this issue in the Environmental Health Initiative, is that this is a problem which needs to pull on the talent, not only from the federal agencies, but from the academic community, no matter where that talent might lie. And we can't let silos stand in our way. And I think environmental health is just the first of one of these many issues. Now, we know that our federal agencies, the word nimble is probably not going to apply to them. Many of them were formed, 100 or more years ago. They have numerous challenges to trying to move quickly in order to tackle new problems, and there are many stakeholders that resist change. But the Academy doesn't have to be that way. And that's why I'm very excited to see this initiative succeed. And I want you all to let me know anytime you see anything within the Academy that is resisting the success of this initiative. We want it to succeed. Okay, with that, I'm going to pass this on.
My turn? Thank you very much, Marcia. And really, I'm very pleased to be invited here this morning. I consider this a privilege. I really congratulate you on this topic, environmental health matters. It's a great topic and an important topic, and it's appropriate for what you have done here in terms of this approach and bringing all three academies in. Because basically, when you're talking about environmental health, you're really talking about everything that the academies do. And if you limit it in any way, you're basically creating a subset of what environmental health is. You can't help it but limit it. So therefore, looking at it holistically is exactly the right thing to do. And all the big problems basically involve our three academies. All the partitions you see are all mostly fake, as a matter of fact. They don't actually exist. They're not real. They've just been created. They're more man's creations rather than nature's creations. So I really like the way you've looked at this, and in fact, this is a very unusual circumstances for us to be sitting here together. This is about the only time we see each other, things like this, and it doesn't happen all that often. Well, not quite true. Not quite true. Not quite true. You see me too much, I know.
We're going to be together all day today.
Well, that's another matter. It's internal environmental health. So anyway, I just want to say that this isn't an ideal topic for engineering. Okay, it's an ideal topic. You know, you can describe all of engineering in 4 words. All fields, all dimensions of engineering in 4 words. They all do the same 4 things: creation, solutions, people, society. Those 4 words. Now, if those 4 words show up in your environmental health domain, then engineering belongs in your environmental health domain. And the more they show up in that domain, the more it belongs in that domain. So that's a good word. In fact, the word create is associated with engineering. It's the only one that actually really creates things. So that's what engineering is about, and that's why it's important, and from my perspective at least, on environmental health matters. So, problems, water, soil, air, food, these are all complex, multidisciplinary topics that all involve all the fields that we're talking about in spades, as a matter of fact. So I'll just give a couple little examples to think about, and also something about the way things seem to get partitioned. Just yesterday I read where Starbucks has decided to drop using plastic straws from its products, okay? So, okay, that doesn't sound like it's earth-shattering in some way. But, of course, it makes 1 billion plastic straws a year, distributes 1 billion plastic straws a year. So, okay, so we don't want plastic in the landfills, da-da-da-da-da. And so everybody sees that's a pretty obvious thing to do. But then what are they going to replace these plastic straws with? Well, they're going to cut more trees down. They're going to create more fiber-based straws and so forth. Maybe that's not the solution either. So that immediately starts thinking about, biodegradable artificial materials, new materials that could be used for straws, for example, right? So this is a standard engineering kind of problem. And it's the kind of little problem, sounding like a little problem, that turns out to be a big problem. And when you start looking at a global scale, and I'm presuming you're thinking about global scale all the time here. So that's just one example. It just showed up as a squib in the newspaper, and a very big one. Another one to think about is Chesapeake Bay restoration. I live in Annapolis. I have a house that's too nice for me, actually. It's in Annapolis on the water, 500 feet of water, so on, 10 acres of woods and so on. It's just absolutely wonderful. But, of course, we have to worry about the bay. And the Chesapeake Bay, of course, has been very polluted. 5 states and agricultural interests and a lot of runoff from the land and increasing populations, giving more hard surfaces, more runoff into the bay, and agricultural wastes and chickens and so on, all that. All of these problems with increasing population have created massive complications for the bay. But this year, the bay is as healthy as it's been in 30 years. That's all the estimates of it. And there's 2 approaches to this progress that's been made on the bay. One is a kind of called the policy approach, okay? These are people that sit on the top and pontificate at the high level, and that trickles down some way or other to the actual workforce. You know how that works. So the Chesapeake Bay Foundation is a very, very long-term, successful foundation that really operates at this level, and we all send them money and so forth. And they're a very important facility, activity to have there. But then there's a whole nother level of foundation, and they're basically built around river keepers. So our place is on the South River side, but there's a Seven River side of Annapolis, and each of these rivers, they have river keepers. And the river keepers are more kind of in the trenches kind of environmentalists. They actually have a foundation around them, like the South River Foundation, with a river keeper and small staff, and then a very large volunteer staff. And they monitor the quality of the water. They monitor the runoff from the land. They monitor the grasses and so forth. What?
Giving to time.
I'm not. Am I really? Okay. I hadn't even got to the oysters yet. Well, okay. Anyway, we grow oysters, and I just want to say that all the people who live along there grow oysters, and just on Sunday I delivered the oysters from this last batch, and they're the most healthy batch of oysters we've had there in the last 5 years, by far. Lots of spat on all the oysters, doing well, and so the river is really recovering. And this is being done by the South River Foundation and its river keepers. So I think the efforts at both levels, people in the dirt doing the jobs and those creating the policies for the national levels and so on, are both important. They both have to be supported simultaneously. So I hope Environmental Matters Initiative has some room in its agenda for people on both ends of this conversation. I think both are important. Certainly our river would not have been recovered the way it has without the South River Federation. The Chesapeake Bay Foundation was not working on that topic. So anyway, I would say that I think the engineering needs for Starbucks and for the South River Foundation are very clear. I think the engineering needs for utility for environmental matters is also very clear to me, and I really congratulate you on this meeting and moving forward together on this very topic. So at the end. Thank you.
With Marcia as timekeeper and Dan leaving me 5 minutes, I better go really quickly. Okay, I'm Victor Dzau from the NAM, and echo my colleagues' comments and welcome all of you to this really important public session, but more importantly, this launch of this initiative. I think we all agree that environmental health is an important topic. It matters, and according to your statement here, it's there to solution improve health today and for generations to come, and I want to emphasize the generations to come. Most of us think about this, as you heard, about environmental health in terms of toxins, contamination, the Flint, Michigan water. But all of you know, knowledgeable people know, this is a lot more complex. Everything we do, as you heard from my colleagues, everything we do in the environment can have an effect on health. Access to clean air, walkable communities, transportation, and I want to use housing as an example. So housing has a major impact through livable conditions, hygiene, safety, affordability, access to open space, food, healthy food, and more. In fact, yesterday I met with a team from Fannie Mae, the Sustainable Communities Partnership and Innovation team. And they want to hear from us how they can help, and we'd like to also see how we can recruit them into this discussion. So as you know, they're one of the largest, biggest sources of affordable mortgage financing, and they're interested in leveraging their lending power and working with multiple sectors to improve education, jobs, and health. So we talked a lot about what they're trying to do and what we can do together. And one of the important issues is to focus on how housing intersects with health. So the ideas that we floated include expansion of affordable housing development, on-site healthcare, workforce training, accessory dwelling unit development as an affordable housing option for residents in gentrifying neighborhoods, and transforming vacant commercial property into entrepreneurial co-housing and low-income communities. I mentioned this mainly just to show that there's another sector, and there's so many sectors, as been mentioned by colleagues, that actually intersects with this whole issue. Now, at the NASEM, certainly there are initiatives that addresses environmental health, such as the HMD Roundtable, Environmental Health Sciences Research and Medicine. But I think this is unique here because it really brings across everybody, across the entire academy, but recognizing this is a multi-sectorial issue and needs cooperation across many different sectors. So I think uniquely, I believe that National Academies is well positioned and brings 7 program divisions together. I think it's really one of the first to tackle this very important issue. Now, so let's talk a little bit about how we're going to do this, because I can imagine all the people coming together. We need somewhat of a different model. The traditional model is we get a group together, do a consensus study. Or we have a forum of people. But now, look at the size of this group. There are certainly a lot of interests now. There is a lot of interest in the National Academy through the transformation effort to look at new models of doing things. So this is, in fact, one of the big experiments. I can share with you a little bit of our own experience. At the IOM, we started a thing called the Action Collaborative some years ago, which is now continued in the NAM and HMD. One such example is the Clinician Burnout Resilient Initiative. The other one is the opioid. Each of these initiatives actually assemble this size of people, stakeholders from all different sectors, government, private, academia, etc. And what's unique is that we convene, and the stakeholders are the owners of the collaborative. So they come together to look at how to work together. The work products can be working groups to address specific issues collectively. It could be workshops. It could be writing papers together, conducting consensus study, and even we have art shows and community outreach. So I can imagine that by getting this, I see about 80 different people and maybe 40 different sectors together, there are many ability to do collective solutions together, as we are doing now. Say, for example, with opioid, we're getting together to look at how to get education throughout the entire health profession, from undergraduate medical school to residency training to continuing medical education and linked to accreditation, etc. So I think what's unique about this group is, in fact, thinking about how to use your collective strength and use newer models, which I think would be new for the academy, but collectively. And that doesn't mean you don't do consensus. You could end up saying, we want to collectively do this housing issues together or that, and then we need a consensus study that really puts forward recommendations. So I wish you a lot of luck. I think it's very exciting. And I would say that I'm so pleased to see so many people in attendance here, representing different sectors, and you're tackling one of the most pressing challenges that we face this nation globally. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much to the 3 Academy presidents for giving us their input. I understand that they have to drive to a long-standing meeting and will need to slip out now or at 9:30. It says 9:30 here, but thank you very much for your input. We really appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Hi, Dan. Good to see you. Yeah.